Hi, guys. Picture this. It's the groovy 1960s, and Boeing's engineers are literally staring at what looks like Mission Impossible. They need to build a plane that's twice the size of anything that's ever kissed the sky before. Like, are you kidding me right now? But plot twist alert, they totally nailed it. And honey, the result flipped aviation on its head forever. Welcome to the absolutely wild world of the Boeing 747. This flying giant that made crossing oceans feel like grabbing an Uber across town. But here's where it gets spicy. This incredible machine is stuffed with secrets that even airplane nerds don't know about. We're talking hidden superpowers, jaw-dropping records, and design choices that sound backwards until you hear the T behind them. So how did a plane that was supposed to be yesterday's news in just a few years become the most iconic aircraft ever? And buckle up, Buttercup, because building this bad boy almost bankrupted the entire company. The Queen of the Skies has stories that are about to blow your aviation-loving mind into orbit. But before we dive into these mind-blowing secrets, hit that subscribe button, because aviation history is absolutely packed with incredible stories like this, and I'm bringing you the most fascinating ones every single week. Let's dive into secret number 1, the happy little accident that made history. You know that famous hump on top that screams 747 from like a million miles away? That iconic bump was never meant for passengers. When Boeing's Genius Squad was sketching the 747 back in the swinging 60s, they had this totally wild belief that supersonic jets would make regular planes about as useful as flip phones. So they designed the 747 mainly as a cargo beast that could switch gears when nobody wanted to fly slow anymore. It was actually engineered so the entire nose could swing open like the world's biggest garage door for loading massive cargo. This temporary design choice created something totally bonkers in aviation. On a 747, you can literally sit in front of the pilots. Those premium nose seats on the lower deck put passengers further forward than the flight crew. 747 passengers in those coveted front row seats get to experience takeoffs and landings from a spot that even the pilots can't enjoy. Now buckle up for secret number 2, the speed demon nobody saw coming. The 747 is still the fastest regular passenger jet flying today. The 747-400 and 747-8 cruise at Mach 0.85. That's 564 miles per hour, way up at cruising altitude. This became absolutely bonkers dramatic in February 2020 when a British Airways 747 caught an incredibly powerful jet stream over the North Atlantic. A New York to London crossing in just 4 hours and 56 minutes. They completely demolished the previous record and got so close to supersonic Concorde speeds that it wasn't even funny. Time for secret number 3, the rescue mission that absolutely rewrote history. In May 1991, Ethiopia was falling apart in civil war, and Israel had just 36 hours to evacuate Ethiopian Jews in something called Operation Solomon. El Al Airlines completely gutted a 747-400 of almost all interior stuff, creating basically a hollow flying shell. 1,088 people boarded that single aircraft. That's more than double its normal capacity, setting a passenger record that's still standing strong today. That passenger count actually went up during the flight when 2 women gave birth at 30,000 feet. Ready for secret number 4? The analog beast that required true masters? Imagine walking into a cockpit and boom, you're face to face with 971 switches, gauges, and lights. Every single one of them absolutely critical. Before the era of computer screens and digital everything, flying the Jumbo required 3 crazy skilled professionals working together like the world's most technical boy band. The pilot and co-pilot handled flight controls, while a dedicated flight engineer managed this incredible array of systems. We're talking fuel transfer, electrical generation, cabin pressure, environmental controls, the whole 9 yards. There was something deeply human about that mechanical connection between these aviators and their massive machine. Each switch movement and gauge reading created this intimate connection with the aircraft that modern pilots might find totally mind-boggling. Now get ready for secret number 5, the ultimate corporate YOLO moment. In 1966, Boeing took what might be the biggest corporate gamble in aviation history. They literally bet the company's entire future on an aircraft that experts thought was impossible to build. The 747 needed over 6 million individual parts, 171 miles of wiring, 5 miles of tubing, and 75,000 engineering drawings. Build the largest building by volume on the entire planet. The Everett factory in Washington state covers 398,000 square meters and still holds the world record today. The entire development program, from initial concept to first flight, took just 28 months. That's a time frame that would be considered absolutely impossible for way simpler aircraft today. If the 747 had crashed and burned, Boeing would have been financially toast. The program cost over $1 billion 1960s dollars. That's about $9 billion today. That was more than the company's entire net worth at the time. This wasn't just building a new airplane, it was an all-or-nothing bet on completely reshaping how the world flies. Time for secret number 6, the design that almost never happened. The 747 we all know and obsess over almost looked completely different. Boeing's chief engineer, Joe Sutter, originally planned a true double-decker design with 2 full passenger levels running the entire length of the aircraft. In theory, this would pack in maximum passengers while keeping the plane shorter. But there was one massive problem that threw a wrench in everything: safety regulations. The FAA required that any commercial aircraft must evacuate completely within 90 seconds. Engineers quickly realized that getting everyone off 2 full decks through limited exits would be virtually impossible during an emergency. This forced a total redesign. The full upper deck got the boot, leaving only that partial upper deck we recognize today. This design pivot also unlocked one of the 747's most valuable superpowers: its ability to transform from passenger jet to cargo beast. That partial upper deck with the cockpit safely positioned above allowed for a hinged nose that could open completely for loading oversized cargo. This adaptability gave the 747 incredible staying power. When passenger versions retire, they can transform into freighters, extending their working lives by decades. Secret number 7 is going to make you appreciate art in a whole new way. The flying canvas. How do you paint something the size of a small office building? Every time a 747 gets a makeover, it triggers this massive operation involving specialized facilities, skilled artists, and incredible attention to detail. First, existing paint gets carefully stripped away, revealing that gorgeous, bare aluminum skin. This phase lets inspectors examine the entire fuselage for tiny cracks or other sneaky issues hiding beneath the paint. Next comes the total transformation. Painting a 747 requires about 120 gallons of paint, adding 1,200 pounds to the aircraft's weight. This might seem like no big deal for a plane weighing over 350 tons, but airlines calculate fuel down to decimal points. That extra weight translates directly to fuel costs over the aircraft's entire lifetime. The painting process is extraordinarily precise, too. After primer, multiple color layers get added, with each one needing to cure before the next application. Painters work with specialized equipment in climate-controlled hangars to ensure absolutely perfect results. What makes this super fascinating is how airlines balance looking amazing with practical considerations. Some choose partial paint schemes to save weight, while others transform their 747s into flying masterpieces regardless of fuel penalties. British Airways' retro BOAC design and Qantas's Aboriginal-inspired artwork showed how the 747's massive canvas could become cultural statements visible from miles away. Ready for secret number 8? The journey that broke physics? In 1989, Qantas accomplished something aviation experts thought was absolutely impossible: an 11,000-mile nonstop flight from London to Sydney using a 747-400. This wasn't just pushing boundaries, this was completely annihilating them. The 747-400ER could carry 63,500 gallons of jet fuel, enough to power a typical car for over 50 years. But even this massive capacity wasn't designed for such an extreme journey. For this record-setting flight, Boeing engineers had to completely reimagine what was possible. They stripped unnecessary equipment to reduce weight and installed additional fuel tanks in areas normally used for cargo. The flight lasted over 20 hours and landed with minimal fuel reserves. Talk about cutting it close. What made this achievement particularly mind-blowing is that it demonstrated capabilities 2 decades before purpose-built ultra-long-range aircraft would make such journeys normal. Think about what this means. Engineers in the 1980s designed an aircraft with capabilities that wouldn't be fully realized until the 2010s. The 747 wasn't just ahead of its time, it was defining possibilities that future aircraft would spend decades trying to match. This wasn't just a publicity stunt, it was proof that the 747's design had untapped potential that went way beyond its original specs. Time for secret number 9, the Space Shuttle Uber. The 747 didn't just change air travel, it helped conquer space. For 30 years, NASA relied on specially modified 747s called shuttle carrier aircraft to transport space shuttles between landing and launch sites. This required absolutely extraordinary modifications. NASA engineers removed most interior components, reinforced the entire structure, and added vertical stabilizers to compensate for having a 78-ton spacecraft riding piggyback. These incredible 747s completed 87 ferry flights carrying shuttles like Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour, playing this crucial but often overlooked role in America's space program. Think about the engineering challenge. How do you safely mount a massive spacecraft on top of a commercial airliner and still fly safely? NASA's solution proved both the 747's robust design and human ingenuity. The final mission came in 2012, transporting Endeavour to Los Angeles for museum display. As that modified 747 made its last landing, it closed this remarkable chapter where one American icon literally carried another on its back. What other commercial aircraft could have pulled off this extraordinary role? The answer is simple: absolutely none. Finally, secret number 10. The cultural revolution that changed everything. The most remarkable secret isn't technical at all. It's how this machine transcended being just transportation to become a global cultural phenomenon. Boeing reports the 747 fleet logged over 118 million flight hours, carrying about 7.12 billion passengers, basically Earth's entire population. But statistics don't capture what this aircraft truly meant. For millions, the 747 wasn't just transportation. It was the vehicle of life-changing moments. It reunited families separated by oceans, carried people to new lives in distant countries, transported humanitarian aid to disaster zones, and even served as Air Force One for historic presidential summits. The 747 silhouette became so recognizable that kids worldwide could draw it from memory. It appeared in countless movies, ads, and artworks, transcending aviation to become this universal symbol of human connection. Flight crews formed deep bonds on long-haul journeys. Engineers spoke of it with unusual affection, and passengers who experienced that upper deck still describe it decades later with total reverence. As newer, more efficient aircraft gradually replaced the remaining passenger 747s, something magical is being lost. The Queen of the Skies wasn't just technically superior, it had this presence, this majesty that modern aircraft struggle to match. And that brings us to the end of our incredible journey through the 747's most amazing secrets. I hope your mind is as blown as mine was when I first discovered these stories. But here's the thing. Aviation history is absolutely packed with incredible tales like these, and I'm just getting started. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.